I do have a question I'd like to bring up.
Go on.
What is your opinion on religion, on God, like a
Oh,
Abrahamic God? Any opinions?
Abrahamic God. Well, this is a big topic. So the Abrahamic God, from what I can see, is what I would consider to be like a negative entity, and I think that the major religions around the world were massively influenced at certain times by, so with the Abrahamic religions, they all seem to have come from like the same kind of seed.
Yeah,
And if you notice in, let's take the Christian Bible for example, if you notice in the Old Testament versus the New Testament, it's almost like two completely different gods, or two completely different personalities. They seem to be the absolute opposite of each other. And if you look at the things the Old Testament God says in the Bible, they're very strange. Very like it's very questionable for supposedly an all-loving, all-knowing God. That it makes you think, how does that? It almost doesn't make sense. But then if you compare that to the other gods of the time, and then you get into like symbolism and you look at the different types of like fish deities, and I don't know if you looked into like the different symbolism across the different religions throughout history, but you can see a remarkable amount of similarity between the different deities. Specifically, if you look into things like any links or relations to Saturn, to fish deities or fish gods, anything involving like sacrifice and consuming blood. Even now, right? Even in the, I believe, Catholic Christianity, they still do that kind of ceremony, and the symbolism there is still the same with the kind of like the fish deities, and even to the point where the Pope wears the hat, the exact same hat which is in the symbolism from ancient history showing the fish god. Which, I mean, it's a huge rabbit hole, but yeah, I think organized religion is very, very different to open minded spirituality focused on a higher power or source creation energy. I think they're very different.
100%. I mean, people like Karl Marx and like we've known that organized religion has just been used for corruption. It is an absolute,
Mm.
population power tool. Like it keeps you in line, and it because one of the biggest myths I feel like religion teaches us is that heaven and all the good stuff, eternal life, all the best things you're going to receive happens when you die, and that you're not in heaven right now. Like I feel, and it doesn't let you live in the present. It always thinks, oh, I'm going to get there. When I die, I'm going to be living happily ever after. And you forget that this is heaven right now. Like there's nothing after your death. You come back here, you reincarnate. It's like this is
Mm.
heaven, and that's the lie that this telling us all that this isn't heaven.
Have you looked into the Gnostic Gospels?
I've heard some bits about it. I did religious studies in like ALO, so I've heard some stuff. But go on, tell me some stuff about them.
Right. So if you assume that the main Christian canon Bible that exists today, that was massively censored and edited hundreds of years ago. And I forget the exact date, but I have it in my notes somewhere. There's a specific meeting that happened where they basically agreed on bit like changes they were going to make to the Bible, and then from that point on, they just said, right, from now on, the Bibles will all be written exactly like this, no changes, no
Was
whatever.
it referring to the Council of Nicaea?
That's the one. Yeah, thank
Council
you.
of
Yeah, the
Nicaea, that
count.
was 325, I believe. But yeah, they changed the definitions to things like the Trinity, and things like that, like all things like Jesus' return and stuff as a aid to keep them in control of the population.
Yeah,
Uh, and they knew that. I mean, I guess they were smart and and figured out a way to do that. But yeah, now it's completely insane what's happened with it.
yeah. So a couple of the interesting things that were changed were they removed some of the Gnostic Gospels, specifically like the Gospel. I think it was the Gospel of Thomas, and then the Gospel of Mary. And then there was also a couple of other ones where they had direct quotes from supposedly what Jesus said. That these quotes were very different to what you'll find in the Bible today. And an example I can think of is like the word Elohim. Elohim means supposedly in the Bible it means God, right? But if you look at the definition, it actually means the mighty ones, or the gods plural. It doesn't mean just one God; it means the mighty ones. And that's just one example of like how the way we think it works is so different from the actual truth. And I feel like we were only seeing a tiny part of the actual truth of reality.
100%. I mean, I believe I'm right in saying this. I think the gospel It's Infancy Gospel of Thomas, and Jesus in that story, it's his childhood till when he's an adult, and he literally kills someone in this story. But and then because he killed someone, they took it out because they felt it was not a reflection of Jesus. But in this account of a disciple, Jesus kills someone. So yeah. Yeah, it is very interesting what you're saying about Elohim and that being plural, because it does just prove that, back in the day, they've changed from polytheistic to now monotheistic. And then just there's 33,000 denominations of Christianity. Does that not just show that clearly there's some sort of thing going wrong between how they get their truth? Like when there's that many dispersion of beliefs within that one religion, like it's crazy.
And not just that. So, like you say, there's 33,000 denominations of Christianity. There's also dozens of versions of the main stories in the Bible. Like, for example, the flood story. That's not the only version of that story. Like hundreds of years before, there were other versions of that tell it in a similar way, but with slightly different details.
Epic of Gilgamesh, is it?
Yeah, that's an example, right? The Epic of Gilgamesh. My point is, there's different versions of this story. The Bible flood story is just one of them, and the same as the creation story. I wish I knew everything about this stuff, literally.
And it would be so cool. It's an unlimited rabbit hole to dive into.